Being a fan of anything nowadays really sucks, and I want to do something about it. So I ask you, are you also tired of the phrase, go woke, go broke? Are you exhausted from all the pessimistic and hateful videos made by people who claim to be fans, but who really just want to profit from outrage clicks? Do you sometimes wish that there was an alternative to how soul-sucking and depressing it feels to be a fan on the internet nowadays? Would you perhaps be interested in helping to create a community for all fans? A community that is both inclusive and that promotes a diversity of thought and belief, but whose core sentiment is to make people feel welcome. Essentially, what I want is to fight back against the Fandom Menace, the anti-SJWs, the reactionary film critics, and everyone else who gets upset and whines whenever they see minorities in a film or who build their communities on hate and negativity. I want to promote healthy film criticism and help make us nerds feel like proper nerds again. So if you're interested, then keep watching, and if not, then leave your dislike and let us be done with it. Now, I was initially thinking of titling this video Taking Back Our Fandoms, but I think that would have been counterintuitive. It wouldn't have helped my goal of making an inclusive community because it can easily be misunderstood as gatekeeping. The phrase taking back our fandoms, while definitely having the potential to have a positive meaning, can also send the wrong message that your fandom is wrong and ours is right. That it's our fandoms, not yours. Now, I may not care about the content creators on the other side, people like Geeks and Gamers, The Critical Drinker, Nerdrotic, and all the rest. They're not the ones I'm trying to win over, because it's never going to happen. When your whole YouTube career depends on the grift, and when you're constantly searching for the next outrage that you can milk the ever-living kahuna out of, with no regards for the effect your videos have on people and the fandoms you claim to be a part of, then obviously you wouldn't want to cooperate with someone like me, who is strongly against the things you stand for. So no, I'm not trying to win them over, but not all of their fans are necessarily toxic. I think there are many people out there who really do want to make fandoms better, and perhaps they're just misguided. I've talked to many people online, mostly from my comment section, and heard their stories of how they were deep in the rabbit hole of anti-SJW or anti-wokeness content, where every day you're getting bombarded with content about how bad everything you love is, and how it's being ruined by Hollywood or Disney or the woke or Brie Larson or any other scapegoat they can think of. And once you watch one video, then you watch another, and then 3 more videos come out from other creators who make the exact same outrage content, and soon all the videos you get recommended every day will naturally make you believe what they're saying. But I don't think it's healthy. I think all that negativity makes us bitter. It makes us more pessimistic in general. The people I've talked to about this say that they've been lucky to get out of this rabbit hole, and that they've become a lot happier ever since. So I think it's possible to get out, because not everyone who's a part of these communities is a bad person. So much of it is down to circumstance, and anyone can fall down the shaft at any time. But I also think that most people can get out of it again, and I want to try to help some of these people. I think this war against wokeness and other buzzwords, and the need to be aggressive towards media, the creators, and even other fans is misguided. It's not going to make fandoms any better. It's led by people who don't really care about making fandoms any better, because their whole careers depend on conflict within fandoms. They don't want these franchises like Marvel, Rings of Power, Star Wars, and many more to get better. They don't want them to change, because then they lose their source of profit and popularity. But I know that you, the fans, do want change, and there are better ways to achieve meaningful change than to complain about wokeness all day, because that word is a meaningless buzzword that has no real definition online anymore. A word that can be used to justify hatred and bigotry, but that also has no consistency in its use. Take only the recent reaction to House of the Dragon as an example, a show which thematically is way more woke than Rings of Power. That is, when we look at the actual definition of the word, which means to be alert to social injustice. But still, Rings of Power gets called woke just because it has people of color in it, while House of the Dragon is amazing and destroys Rings of Power. I mean, they did try to label House of the Dragon woke too before it came out, but then they saw how everyone liked it, and if they kept down this road, they'd get criticized, so they changed their whole view on House of the Dragon, going from, oh, this is woke, they've changed the Valerians, they've added black people just because, and no one really cares about this show, it's because it's woke. But then in reality, it actually did really well, and then they had to change their message. Luckily, they had Rings of Power there, so they still had their scapegoat. But like, this is misguided. Wokeness is not a valid piece of film criticism. Bad writing is, and you can definitely call out bad writing when you see it, but there are many pieces of media that are woke, and some are good and others are bad. But the Fandom Menace only seems to point out the wokeness when they don't like it, and when it serves their purpose. But like I've said multiple times before, wokeness doesn't make a piece of media bad. Bad writing makes a piece of media bad. Unless of course you just heavily disagree with any progressive sentiment, then fair enough, you're probably against wokeness itself, but I don't think this is everyone. And I know the vast majority of people that I'm talking to right now aren't gonna listen, and they won't change, and that's fine. I've made my argument, and that's all I can do. However, I do still think that there are many people that we can win over. People who really do care about fandoms, but who simply don't know that there's an alternative to this anti-woke sentiment that dominates most of YouTube. And that's what we, the Fandom Initiative, can be. This is a project that I'm starting up with actual fandom and organized chaos, and any other YouTuber who cares about making an inclusive fandom centered around the enthusiasm and passion we all have for nerdy things, where disagreement and debate isn't frowned upon, but rather it's promoted alongside common decency. We want to make a community where everyone is welcome, as long as you share the goal of making everyone else feel welcome too. We did a live stream last Wednesday that you can watch over on Organized Chaos's channel, where we chatted for the first time and talked about some of our plans. We're thinking of doing weekly live streams every Wednesday or whenever else it makes sense, and Dane from Actual Fandom has been nice enough to repurpose his second channel into the Fandom Initiative, where we'll upload content relevant to our communities and this collaboration in general. The link to all these channels is in the description. In these live streams, we want to first and foremost have fun, and talk about movies, TV shows, video games, comic books, and much more, but also collectively fight back against problematic fans and fandoms. If you think this sounds like something for you, or if you're willing to give it a try, then stay tuned for more information about it soon. But essentially, our main aim is to create an inclusive community, but also a community that's not afraid to stand up for their fandoms. And we also don't want to promote any group harassment towards other groups that we call out. This is about being better, not bitter. And this is something we need to stay vigilant with. So hopefully we can make this community a nice place to be for you guys. Because I genuinely think that there's an audience for this. I think there are people who are looking for an alternative to the popular sentiment online, but who simply haven't found it yet. Perhaps this can be that alternative. Because while yes, the most vocal people on YouTube are people from these other more anger-focused communities, I still think that a majority of fans in the world are just looking for places where they can be fans, and they either don't bother much with interacting on social media due to the negativity and conflict that online fandoms spew out nowadays, or they simply consume content in silence for the same reasons. I hope to be able to make a space where any fan can feel welcome if they simply want to share their enthusiasm and passion for nerdy things in a more positive and constructive light, rather than feeling the need to be negative and pessimistic. The reason I chose these words is because, like I said, I don't want my community to be a place where you can't criticize something, where you're only allowed to like something, praise it like a good boy. No, that's not the kind of fandom I want to be a part of. I think disagreements are great. It's wonderful that we have different opinions and that we share these with each other. Discussions and even debates with other fans are always fun as long as they're civil. I think constructive criticism is important, especially when it comes from a place of cooperation. So if you're tired of the way online fandoms are these days, then come check out the Fandom Initiative. It's a bit corny, I know, but it's about time we fight back. And I think this could be a good place to start. I don't like how the discourse surrounding media operates nowadays. It's way too fucking political, both from reactionaries, but then also from people like us who try to fight back against them. There's honestly not much pleasure in being a fan of nerdy things anymore. Being a fan on the internet isn't fun, and I think most of us can agree that something needs to be done about it. But the question is, which path is the right path to take? Well, why don't we try to figure it out together? Thank you for watching.